Welcome back to Anatomy and Physiology here with your professor, Dr. Sean Clavel. Today we're going to be talking about muscle tissue. This is chapter 10. And so not only the skeletal muscles, but smooth muscle tissue and cardiac muscle tissue as well. So we'll start with an overview of muscle tissues. And now when most people think of muscles, they think of the muscles that are visible just under our skin, particularly those of our limbs, our arms and legs. These are called skeletal muscles, named because they move the bones of your skeleton. But there are other types of muscles in the body with distinctly different jobs. Cardiac muscles are found in the heart. They're concerned with pumping blood through the circulatory system. And smooth muscle is concerned with various involuntary movements, such as having one's hair stand on end or moving through food through the digestive system. In this chapter, we're going to examine the structure and function of all three of these different types of muscles. Now, all three muscle tissues have some properties in common. They all exhibit a quality called excitability. That means their plasma membranes can change electrical state from polarized to depolarized and send electrical wave called an action potential along the entire length of the membrane. Now, while the nervous system can influence the excitability of cardiac and smooth muscle tissue to some degree, skeletal muscle tissue is completely dependent on signaling from the nervous system to work properly. On the other hand, both cardiac muscle and smooth muscle tissue can respond to other stimuli, such as hormones and local stimulus. Contractility allows a muscle to pull on its attachment points and shorten with force. So, contractility is the muscle's ability to shorten, and usually against a resistance, and allows us to move. A muscle can return to its original length due to its quality of muscle called elasticity, the ability to return to its original length after being stretched, and can recoil back due to those elastic fibers that we see. Muscle tissue also has a ability of extensibility. This is its ability to stretch or expand. So the ability to stretch or expand, extensibility, whereas elasticity is its ability to return back to its normal resting length. And while most people think of muscles of the skeletal muscle here, we'll also look at that cardiac and smooth muscle tissue. But we'll start with the smooth muscle tissue. And smooth muscle tissue found attached to your bones, accounting for approximately 40% of your body mass, has a long cylindrical shape, contains multiple nuclei located on the periphery, and has the appearance of striations as well. So if we take a look here, we'll zoom in one more time. We can see that there is the skeletal muscle tissue here with its brilliant striations. These cells are the muscle fibers, so they are like a cylindrical shape, a long cylindrical shape. And they're bundled in fascicles. They're all attached in fascicles. Cardiac muscle tissue, only found in the heart. These cells are short and branched. They're usually uninucleated, but occasionally can be binucleated. These muscles are involuntary. They possess striations, as we saw with skeletal muscle tissue. Another unique or a unique structure of the cardiac muscle tissue are the prevalence of intercalated discs. So we can see these intercalated discs located strategically where these muscle fibers or cells actually meet. So here we have some skeletal muscle tissue with their branched, short fibers, usually uninucleated. We can see here they're uninucleated, but occasionally can be binucleated. They're also involuntary and possess striations. The characteristic unique to cardiac muscle tissue we can see here, intercalated discs. And then finally, smooth muscle tissue. We looked at smooth muscle tissue with the integumentary system. Smooth muscle tissue is involuntary. It's seen in the digestive system, as identified here on the left side of your screen. Allows the food to move through the digestive system in a rhythmic fashion. That's called peristalsis. The characteristics of smooth muscle tissue include their long or oblong shape, or maybe even spindle shaped, as we can say here, spindle shaped. They lack striations. They also lack intercalated discs, so there's no presence of intercalated discs. And we can see here they're uninucleated. There's one nucleus per cell. Again, we have the characteristics of muscle tissues presented here on the slide in front of us. Skeletal muscle tissue with its long cylindrical shape, multiple nuclei located in the periphery, and striations. As we move down, we can see that there is smooth muscle tissue on the middle of the screen here, smooth muscle tissue with its long spindle-like shape, maybe even oblong-like shape, much smaller than the skeletal muscle tissue that we see as well. And then finally, on the bottom of our screen, we can see this cardiac muscle tissue. Cardiac muscle tissue, 1 to 2 nuclei, physically and electrically connected to each other, which allows the heart to contract as a single unit. Now, stay tuned as we continue into the rest of this chapter here as we focus on skeletal muscle as it takes center stage. Then we'll look at cardiac and smooth muscle tissue as well.